Welcome all of you to the Renewable Energy session. I'm the chair of this session. My name is John McIntyre. I'm actually a professor of English in the English department here at the University of Prince Edward Island. I teach environmental humanities classes. I'm actually teaching a class right now on climate change literature. I was part of the organizing committee last year to put together a session, an international conference here on climate change and culture, where we brought together artists, philosophers, poets, talking about climate change. So I have my own sort of interest and stake in all of this, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing from today's panel. First, I want to introduce my two discussants. The first is Janice Harper. Janice comes to us as the Senior Provincial Policy Planner with the Department of the Environment with the Province of Prince Edward Island. Janice, if you could sort of wave. There she is. And our second is Janice's colleague, actually, Erin Taylor, who is also in the Department of Communities, Land and Environment. And Erin is actually the manager of climate change and agricultural outreach with the province of Prince Edward Island. So they're both well equipped to lead our discussion afterwards today. So we'll have 3 20-minute presentations. I'll introduce each of the speakers in turn. If you could hold your comments until after the session is over, that would be appreciated. We've got 3 interrelated and interesting people here with us today. Our first speaker is Bengt-Olof Grahn, who is the International Project Coordinator in the Technical Department of the region of Gotland. Ben has worked with many local sustainability projects as an eco-strategist. He's worked with the Isle Pact and Smile Gout projects with European islands, which involve research on how to reduce CO emissions more than 20% by 2020, specific to the European islands. This project also included environmental and socioeconomic methods, looking at the development of renewable energy in the islands. This project ran from 2010 to 2015 and was financed partly by the EU Commission and Directorate General Energy and Transport Program. So Ben's work really has to do with social behavior and how to try to change that social behavior. And I'm looking very much forward to hearing him. So please welcome Bengt-Olof Grahn.
Thank you very much. Try to use my time. First of all, I would like to thank all our hosts here in different organizations, and also Charlottetown representatives for inviting me here to this wonderful symposium. I've heard so many interesting speeches the past few years, and you are being so nice and kind to me and us coming here. And of course, maybe you think when you leave this room, some of you might think once more that now I have been once more on a symposium, hearing all these good speeches. But where is the work? I'm totally confident that we are doing work out there and that many things will happen in close future and are happening actually. Because I went to conferences 25, 30 years ago, and I've been working a lot with projects about help to change people's behavior. That's what I'm burning for. I'm not an inspector, I'm an inspirator, so to speak. And I think that's important, that we all try to be inspirators from our professions, wherever we are. And I can see now that things are really starting to happen in a rapid speed, what we were talking about 25, 30 years ago. I just made a leasing deal for 3 years with my first electric car, 100% electric car. It's fantastic. I'm in the future. You know, I go around in my car. I live in the countryside, so I drive quite a lot. So when I come to the gas station, I don't remember what I'm going to do there, because I've been used to fill up all these gallons of gasoline, and when I come there, oh yes, I was going to buy some candy. Or I was going to do something else, not filling up my car, because I do that at home. Just plug in my car during the night. And in Gotland, everybody could use an electric car, because we're a small island. 2/3 of the islands here Prince Edward Islands, everybody could have an electric vehicle because the distance is not so far. And the rest, transportation could be done with biogas, locally produced biogas. I will try to present for you my island first, where we are, what we're trying to achieve, our high set goals, and then I will speak about what we're actually doing today. I will not go into my projects in EU because that would take too long time. One thing I can say is that we had one project, IPAC, and the main impact of that was that we managed to get more than 50 signatories, islands all over Europe, mostly in the Mediterranean area. And they actually made their own action plans for 2020 about renewable energies. It's not obligatory in those countries. It is in our countries to make energy plans, but not there. So that is a great achievement to help these islands to do energy plans. Gotland is situated in the Baltic Sea, right in the middle of Sweden and the Baltic states. It's the largest island of Sweden. It's a limestone island, and it has always been very strategically placed in the middle of the Baltic Sea for merchandise mostly. And you can here see the main town Visby with about, well, I will go into numbers of people soon, and the main other villages. Most residents of Gotland is actually in the countryside because it goes back to this tradition of having your own farm. The island has 800 kilometers coastline, very beautiful. The main water source is Besterträsk, an open sweetwater resource, which is very much discussed the latest summers here because we are facing droughts every summer now. The highest point is 82 meters above sea level, a little bit lower than Prince Edward's Island. And the length of the island is 176 kilometers. So you can go with most of the electric vehicles over the islands, and the width is 50 kilometers. Population around 57,000, and 40% of these live in Visby. And you can here see the population development from 45 to 2012. And if I show the past 3 years, it will be around 57,000. So it's not going up and it's not going down. But we would like to be more people on the island. And we were hoping now when we had many refugees coming to Sweden and Gotland that they could stay on our island and build their new life. But our immigration office, they're moving them around the whole time, unfortunately. But we hope that some of them can stay and start a new life in Gotland, because we have a very long tradition of helping people from other countries. Our politicians have set up a vision for Gotland, and actually the goals in this vision 2025 was set up 10 years ago in a broad discussion between people on Gotland, politicians, companies, all stakeholders. We were sitting in small groups working for many weeks, created this document. And as you will see, there are quite ambitious goals, and we really have a vision that we have to stand up for someday. But I think a vision is very important. A society without vision, a family without vision, is not going to do very well. But of course, you have to set up goals that are reachable. And maybe we should try to influence, and if we go into politics, maybe we should go on shorter terms. Maybe all politicians should decide things within their mandate period. Then they would be more responsible for going into action. We would like to be at least 65,000 inhabitants, because there is an economical level that gives us more tax money if we get more people on the island. We would like our local prosperity to be among the best in the country. We would like to keep on being a very good place for meeting in the Baltic region. We have the political week in July, where all the political parties come to Gotland, and we have more than 3,000 different seminars in 1 week. So it's a very good democratic discussion place every year. And I know that more countries around the Baltic Sea are replicating this occasion, and it was actually our former Prime Minister Olof Palme who started this. We would like our population to be in good health and be the most contented in the country. We are struggling with having the responsibility for the whole health care on Gotland as a municipality or a region, and that of course is very challenging and creates quite big deficits every year in the municipality budget. But we have to have a very good health care and also being able to host all the tourists coming in on summer. We can be more than 200,000 people on the island at the same time. And then, according to what we're speaking on here these days, we have a goal that is very high set, that we will be a world-leading island region on environmental and climate issues. And I will get back to this goal later. Communications to and from Gotland is mostly ferry boat and air, and you see on the map that we have red. Those are the year-round routes for boats and airplane. And yellow is summer, and blue is charter traffic. So we think we are in the right place. We also think, like Prince Edward Islands, that we're right in the middle of everything. So when we show maps of Nordic countries, Europe, or even the world, we always try to put Gotland in the center. Everybody can do that if you use the maps in a good way. We have a great history, and we have a World Heritage Site in Visby from the medieval times. We have a ring wall around the many ruins from a time when Gotland was very prosperous, doing business all over Europe. We also try to, through our many farming companies, try to be a food capital of Sweden. And Gotland as itself is a very good brand in Sweden and Europe. When you say Gotland, many people think of food. Many people think of tourist business, sunshine, always also clothing and design. So we really have to take care of our brand because it's very useful in many ways, and we have to really be careful about it. Business is quite good in Gotland, even though we are a small island. Very many things are similar on islands, but we are one of the most enterprising countries in the country with more than 7,500 small companies. The startup rate for new business is among the highest in the country. Agriculture and food are the largest industry on the island. I think tourism has passed the agriculture now in the recent years. And we have the highest share of female entrepreneurs in Sweden. Of course, we have many employers paid by tax money, and Region Gotland is the far largest employer with more than 6,000 employees. Then we have some different companies here. And you can see Cementa, that's our largest industry. It's a cement factory. It doesn't employ more than 225 directly. It's all automatized today. A big cement factory producing more than 1 million metric tons of cement every year. Is it sustainable? It's actually eating up the island. You should see those big holes. I think you have similar in Canada. But of course, it's a long tradition of using limestones from Gotland. We have a university which is connected, a part of the Uppsala University on the mainland, Campus Gotland, and it's one of our most important regional things ever decided, and it's very important to develop this into something really cool. The regional council is organized like most other municipalities. We have committees, executive board, public works committee, town planning, public health, and so on. All the things that you recognize from a municipality. And we have the different departments. And my department is technical department. Actually, I've been working in most of the departments because the way I work, my competence is used wherever it's best for the moment. Our staff is like this in the region. The average age is 49 years, average retirement age 65. They recently made a decision that you are not welcome after 67. You can work 2 extra years, but then you have to be out. And I think that's not so good, because we have so many good people with so good experience. And I know in the American states, you're allowed to work longer. I never forget Alan Greenspan. He was quite old to the end. Isn't that so? But I think it's quite good to have respect for elderly people with such good experience of life. But this is the way it is. They don't want us to take the jobs from the young ones. Paying old people's retirement is also one issue that we could discuss for days. And here is the reading documents from in. I won't go into detail. We also have a broad international cooperation. We have been working a lot with Baltic Islands Network, Union of the Baltic Cities, Baltic Sea States Sub-Regional Cooperation, Hanseatic Network. The Hanseatic time was when we had merchandise around the Baltic Sea in Germany at the time. CPMR, Conference of Peripheral Maritime Regions of Europe. I actually happened to travel to the most desolate parts of the world, and I could also find coming to your island was a little bit tricky. My plane from Frankfurt was a little bit late, so I had to sit and wait for some extra hours. But I'm used to go to the peripheral maritime regions of Europe, the most interesting places. We also have twinning municipality partnership with Tukums in Lithuania, Soest in Germany, Lübeck, Germany, Ukraine, Kibaha in Tanzania, Stellenbosch in South Africa. For the moment, we are discussing how much of international work the organization can take in times of very tough economic situation. Coming to Eco-Municipality of Gotland, we have set up this name. It came from the time of Agenda 21, when we started a special project developing a work for taking care of the grassroots ideas in the society. You remember all this from Agenda 21. And that's why my period of working with public behavior started. We would like Gotland to become a sustainable society within the course of 1 generation. How do you make that on an island which is so dependent on other areas on the mainland? So, going back to this goal that Gotland will be a world-leading island region on environmental and climate issues, what's the pathway towards this tough goal? We think we have a great knowledge on the island and several projects in the forefront and active efforts to develop renewable energy. On Gotland, as in many other places, the increased share of sustainable energy is a springboard towards an ecologically sustainable society. By 2020, the goal is to meet 100% local renewable energy to households and most business on the islands. Of all fuels to the common cement industry, about 70% will be renewable or recycled in 2020. Our cement factory has a very unique position in the Heidelberg Corporation concern. They really try to get rid of all the fossil fuels when they are incinerating their cement fraction. And it's very interesting to see what kind of renewable and reused waste fractions they can use without doing too much harm to the environment. By switching from fossil fuels to renewable energy, the greenhouse gas emissions from the energy used for heat, electricity and transportation of Gotland have decreased by 45% from 1990 to 2020. We are getting close. We still have some to do, and of course it's the transportations that are the big challenges. Cement industry and lime industry is not fully excluded in these figures because they are a part of the European common quota. The cement chemistry, if you know it, is releasing huge amount of carbon dioxide from the chemical bound compounds in Earth. We can call them fossils as well. So it would be difficult always to count in those figures. Better management of energy in town vision becoming climate neutral by 2030. You can read there. Green Gotland will implement conversion of transport and travel behavior in accordance with energy. We will also work with our buildings in each and every case, trying to make them more sustainable. We would like to integrate work on climate adaptation in all urban planning. And as everybody says nowadays, we want to act climate smart. Smart is the new word all over the world, I think. Smart behavior. And we'd like to contribute more to the knowledge of environmental and climate issues among citizens so that everybody can do their part. Information campaigns, dialogue forums, representatives, etc. But we have some constraints with this having very high set goals in the municipality. We have to realize that when our politicians are so eager on setting high goals. We really need to develop the university to be extremely competent so it attracts educators as well as students to go. I know that today doctors from the healthcare rather want to work on the mainland to be close to big universities. That's a problem. We really need to build scientific networks with other countries and become a growth champion for sustainable development. We need to attract important companies and so to create a Silicon Valley atmosphere. I think it would be fantastic, but we have a long way to go. We, the whole time, have to attract people and companies to live and thrive on Gotland. And also the big investments are very important. We are a quite poor municipality, so we always have to rely on the state, we also have to rely on companies. And we would like to be some more people to split this. What is the situation today? Yes. The potential of available farming is high. Crops for energy is available. We produce 20 gigawatt hours, locally produced biogas, which is used mostly for fuels for cars. But when we have a low demand, the fuel is used in a dairy to produce dry milk, so it also works as an accordion. We have wind and solar power installed. Wind power is about 200 megawatts, and we would like to have 1,000 megawatts according to our plans. But then we need a new cable to the mainland, which has been promised to us. We also want to introduce something we call power to gas. It's a big industrial project that we are investigating for the moment, how to make new types of usable gas sources from the carbon dioxide going up from a cement factory. We also have just turned our organic waste from our households into a slurry that goes to the biogas production in this farm as fuel for cars. And then you can relate from your own organic waste, I can drive my car. Yep. We see here some of our biogas vehicles. And we also use the procurement as a very important tool. When we procure transports for waste, we procure so that in this procurement, we ask for at least 30% of biogas fuel in the contract period. And they have increased, they have passed that now. And we also say to all the municipality departments that they should lease biogas cars. We are now among the municipalities in Sweden. We have the second best infrastructure for charging stations for electrical EVs. And you can see to the right, that's my little car, standing beside our Tesla. So we really have the infrastructure to go very far now. The tricky thing is to make people to change cars. So now we can find RME, E85 biogas, hydrated vegetable oils, HVO electricity on Gotland to fuel our cars. There is an option for everyone, I think. Hydrogen can be the next step, maybe if we have the power to gas project. Future projects is liquid natural gas and maybe liquid biogas for the ferry boats. We are building a new cruising harbor. Hydrogen, smart commuting systems with the aim to reduce the number of cars going with only one person. Here you can see our new cruising ship on its gas, and here you can see the construction going on right now with one of Europe's largest marine cranes. And the LNG ferry boats will arrive in 2017 and 2018. And it was also achieved by a very good procurement, because this is regulated by the state. They will not exactly look like this one, but something similar. To reach the power to gas, we will use maybe the Sabatier process if the project is going on. 70% of the emissions from the cement factory is carbon dioxide, so we have things to use. Going into this project in detail is not what I have time for right now, but it shows you that we are trying also not only to think small, but we try to think big when we can. We have huge challenges laying in the future to solve. Logistic solutions with pollution of greenhouse gases needs to be implemented. Fast and smart logistic transfers are needed even more in the future. Lessons learned. Development and changes take time. Economy and growth are often slow in islands. It's hard to fully count on the municipality organization to reach broad and fast development. Cooperation with local business and companies is very important. It's hard to attract people and companies to the island 12 months a year. Political goals and visions are good, but must be set on shorter terms, perhaps within the mandate periods. Building trust and engagement among islands populations is important. Creating local demand for new projects and a way of living. And remember, the best energy is energy not used at all. Savings and more rational use of energy should always come first. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben. I think we recognize some of those lessons on that list. Those of us on PEI, some of them are certainly recognizable and familiar. Okay, next up we have Mr. Terji Nielsen. And Terji is with us today from the Faroe Islands. He's the Research and Development Manager at SEV, which is the main energy supplier to the Faroes. SEV is owned by the municipalities of the Faroe Islands and has the goal of focusing on a greener future. The Faroes have set the ambitious goal of 100% green electrical energy by 2030. It's already carried, the SEV has already carried the Faroe Islands forward on this path. And for this ambitious goal, SEV received a Nordic Council Nature and Environmental Prize in 2015. Please join me in welcoming Terji Nielsen.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction and thank you very much for the invitation. It's great to be here. My first time in Canada, ever. I will say a few words about the company I'm working for and what we do. And first maybe say where we're located. Quite far away, as the previous speaker said, quite a journey, but interesting though. The Faroe Islands are situated midways between Iceland, Norway and Scotland. It's a group of 18 small islands with slightly less than 50,000 inhabitants. Our main export is fish and fish products, but predominantly nowadays it's salmon farming. So we have very good conditions for salmon. A few words about the company. The company was founded in 1946, and it's a non-profit organization owned by all the Faroese municipalities. So I used to say when I have presentations back home that each and every inhabitant owns a share of the company. We have a monopoly on grid operation and what we say a de facto monopoly on production, as we produce 98% ourselves. There's only one small local producer with 3 Vestas wind turbines, producing 2% annual basis. We have a joint and several price structure, so each and every inhabitant in the island pay the exact same amount of a kilowatt hour, even if you live on some small islands where the production cost is maybe 10 times higher than in the city center. And as you can see, most of the main islands are connected all together, but in general we are totally on our own. There's no subsea cables to other countries. That's a challenge, I would say. It's a vertically integrated company, so we produce our energy, we distribute it and we sell it to the end customers. And if we were a part of EU, which we're not, even though we belong to Denmark, but we are not in the EU, we would have been considered as a micro-isolated system because we produce less than 500 gigawatt hours and would by that be derogated from all these provisions about unbundling and third-party access and stuff. The energy mix since 1954, we like to say that we were born green, because hydropower, already back in, I think the first hydropower plant was commissioned in 1921, so we have a very long track record on hydro. But since 1954, it was predominantly hydro, but in the Faroes is said to be the industrialization age. In the early 70s, we had to adopt with the fossil fuel generation. And what you can see in the early 90s, we had a huge financial crisis. Approximately 20% of the population fled to other countries. But we picked up again, and in 2015, fossil fuel energy accounted for 40% in electricity production, 40%, and 42% from hydro, and 18% from wind. And I like this graph very much. It's not very complicated as it looks. Just to indicate how many hours actually in 2015 we had 100% renewable energy. It was actually 1,576 hours with only wind and hydro, and 137 days where the renewable energy penetration exceeded 80%. So we are on our way. Of course, we would like this to be more, even more hours, 100%, but we'll come back to that later on. What are the main drivers for us to go into renewables? Because obviously you can see from this picture we will not be impacted by high tides. I think this village here is slightly 50 meters above sea level. But of course we will have more frequent storms, there will be more rain, and the temperature will rise as well. So it's not good at all. But we have very high ambitions. If you take in the middle, in 2009, just prior to the COP15 in Copenhagen, all the Faroese political parties agreed to comply with the Kyoto Protocol. And in this document, at that time, it was stated that 75% of the electrical energy should come from renewables by 2020. But these ambitions have been taken even further by the utility, which announced the so-called Green Vision in October 2014, claimed that we would like to be, or we have at least a vision to be 100% renewable by 2030, electrical wise. And what is really good, and I have to emphasize the importance of this, is that this vision was adopted by the government as well, and in the coalition agreement it is stated positively that the Faroe Islands by 2030 should be 100% renewable on land. And it is really important also. Very often there's a kind of, I guess this is not just in the Faroes, there's kind of a fight between the local utility and the government, how to proceed with the electrical infrastructure and the production units and stuff like that. But this is really important for us to the basis for our development is an aligned agreement between the coalition or the government and the utility. And what we can see in the stipulated lines is actually what we expect of energy to be produced. In 2015 we produced 314 gigawatt hours. In 2020 we expect that to be around 400 gigawatt hours, and in 2030 we expect to have roughly 600 gigawatt hours, and that's due to an upcoming electrification of the islands. We would like people to change from predominantly oil-based heating, oil burners. I think 95 or 97% of all the houses in the islands are heated with oil. We would like to have that changed to heat pumps, and the transport as well. We have the previous speaker said also that it was a very good EV infrastructure in Gotland, but I think in the Faroe Islands we have 15 or 16 maybe EVs, but we have 7 quick chargers, so there's 2 EVs per quick charger. But it is a kind of say, to have awareness of the EVs we are installing these quick chargers, because as in Gotland, we believe that it would be very natural to charge EVs at home at night, where we have excess renewable energy. Another motivation is, of course, the oil consumption and the derived cost of oil. This is the oil consumption used for electricity production from 1995, where we spent or used roughly 20,000 tons of HFO, was fuel oil, and nearly double up in the later years. But and as everywhere else, we have seen a drastic increase in the cost of oil. I calculated in Canadian dollars. We're going from 4 million Canadian dollars in 1995 up to 33.4 million Canadian dollars in 2030. So this is really taking the breath out of the company. And the projected energy demand, maybe a bit technical, I will make it very quick. This is the consumption expected. We expect to see approximately 2% increase in the energy or electricity consumption, what we call the traditional electricity consumption. On top of that, we will see when shifting to heat pumps from oil to electricity, there will be an additional demand for that. We expect roughly a bit more than 100 gigawatt hours into 2030. And then on top of that, again, we will have the energy demand for EVs. There are 21,000 cars in the islands, and we have very